These are some links and ideas for communication using digital tools. We're going to be looking at communication tools for parents. One of my biggest things I really liked to keep was a Google Site. This can also function as Google Classroom in making sure you share out those links. But for younger students, I had this space where teachers can go here, or not teachers, parents can go here and look at sort of digital versions of our newsletters. And then you can use the Google Translate extension to translate this webpage. Students also like this space because I can house extension or review activities, and then I can have videos or images of what we were doing in class for that specific content area. Now, we all do communicate with parents through email, but one idea you might want to think about is using Google Gemini. We have Google Gemini and ChatGPT, which can help you do this with AI. I'm going to cover this in the next upcoming session, so I'm not going to talk about that a lot. But once you go to gemini.google.com, you can just create a prompt. I'm going to use the one I just did and stick it here into this prompt space, and it's going to very quickly create an email for you. Fill in all your blanks. You can actually get this translated by saying translate it to Spanish or any other language. And what I like about Gemini is since it's tied to your Google account, I can share it right into my Gmail from here. Like I said, I'm going to cover that some more in the future. In this slide deck, I also have the idea of using Gmail templates. So inside your email, you go here to select layout, and you can create this in a specific layout that you can send and edit for your classroom newsletter template. Now, if you want to get a little bit fancier, I have some links to some publishing tools we also support, which is Canva or Adobe. Consider using AI for some of those ideas as well. If you click on this link, it's going to open up Canva, which shows you one of their template links. But what you can do is go here to File and create a brand new design, and then feel free to search for some different newsletter templates as you explore. Finally, on this page, I have a form that allows students to say, I wish my teacher knew this about me, or something that's happening, as well as next steps they would like you to take. Feel free to check all those out. On our next page, we have the idea of using social media. Now, it doesn't have to be social media, but consider creating images or GIFs within Canva, and we can help you do that. Obviously, we've got a great team here on our Twitter page, which, well, I know it's X, but it's APS, EdTech APS, and this is a Canva created GIF that has the steps on how to get one of our fall Techtivity activities. So it's a great way to communicate with students and parents and other people what you're doing. So consider reaching out to us, and we can help you create those things for your class. Like I said, it doesn't have to be on social media, but it's kind of that idea of a trend of how to communicate with students, right? However, especially for older students, if they have a purpose for communication, they would love to create those posts themselves. Trust me. I've listed here a link of all of the different School X accounts, so you can look to see if you have one. Consider following it, posting to it, and then maybe even having things to celebrate or having students do that. We've also seen that with district Instagram accounts. Now, share within tools are tools where you can share with parents reminders or information. Your school might have a specific one, but if they don't, tools like Blooms, Reminds, Class Dojo, Seesaw for the littles, for much older students using Google Chat and showing them how to use Gmail, or communicating with parents through Google Classroom are all great ways to communicate. I loved using Class Dojo. If you've never used Class Dojo, you kind of have a classroom. You can give students points, set them up in groups, but they do have something called a class story. And within this class story, you can post announcements, important information to your students and their parents. So it goes to both of them. And then you can directly message parents from within that class. One of my favorite things is I loved to have my students have different groups each day, and they would message their own parents. So that was kind of fun. Like I said, for littles, they have a Seesaw messaging system built right within it. So if you've never used that in Seesaw, consider doing it. It's absolutely brilliant. Really worked out for me. All of those links are on this slide. Now, our final slide here is talking about creating digital subs. That not digital subs, digital hubs, which is the idea for creating groups or ideas or sort of crowdsourcing information. One of the best places to do this is YouTube. Let's be honest, this is where a lot of people go and look up things, probably your beginning teacher included. So you can use your YouTube as a space to share information about your class and what you're doing. So here are some of the activities my class plays, some of the book trailers they created, some different stuff in my video playlist. But consider telling your beginning teacher to create playlists that have how-to videos or different content. Here's actually our own playlist for EdTech Quick Tips, but just to give you an idea of how you can create a playlist based on specific areas of need. You can also create a playlist for your classroom. I had one that was like funny videos or things I used in my class and went to often. But let's keep up with this idea of following influencers or teachers to give your beginning teacher some good ideas. One of my favorite people to follow is Pocketful of Primary. So what they can do is look up different teachers on YouTube and then consider telling them to subscribe to them so they can get their new videos. Or Behavior Management 101, great video. I went into her video, probably not a great place to pause, but you can go here to save in that video and create a playlist. So it doesn't have to be just that specific influencer, but you can go here and I'll just save it to watch later. They can save behavior management videos. They can save different videos like that. Very similarly, they can go to X. I know X is, like I said, social media, but just ideas for your beginning teacher, especially if they're younger and in that space. You can create lists, which basically means followers or different groups of people with things in common. So I have technology people I follow EdTech, I follow APS. And within those lists, what you do is I'm going to go up here to home. And it's going to basically weed out all of this social media information, pinpointing exactly what I want and those types of tweet X's, whatever they're called. So if I go to my EdTech list, it's going to give me different posts like this cool AR one versus if I go here to my teacher community list, which is going to give me some ways on how to use a comma as well as different podcasts I can follow. So that's just an idea for your beginning teacher with an idea of crowdsourcing or communicating their needs and looking that up in a good way. Finally, sort of a more close to home version of that would be creating leveled Google Classrooms or like a grade level or community Google Classroom. So what you do is you go to Google Classroom. I'm going to close this out. And you create one big Google Classroom where you are all co-teachers together. Then as you create activities and lessons, you probably want to keep those very organized so you can have resources you share with each other. If you create activities all together in this one classroom, so say I take the math ones, you take the art ones, so forth and so on, you go here and you go to edit material. And then now you can assign that to all those multiple classrooms outside of this template classroom. It's kind of like the idea of departmentalizing the work, but in a digital space. So that works out really well, as well as possibly even just having a hub to share ideas or things and be able to comment on those back and forth with each other. So those are just some really quick and easy ways to communicate with digital tools.